3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome back. Today I have a radio and it was sent to me by Ruth Evans, and I did a few reviews before, and this time it's the RB689, and it's a nice strong looking portable handheld radio, but it is not a Freenet, it's not FRS or GMRS, it's also not a ham radio. It is a professional or commercial radio, for instance, that you use in construction sites. So not everyone will have a use for it. The frequency, it's UHF. It goes from 450 up to 470 megahertz. And depending, of course, on your commercial license, you can program it on the frequencies you are allowed to use it. It has, I think, 12 channels. It's kind of cool. Look at this. And when you switch the channels, 16 channels, you can see that. But it is all hidden behind the plastic. So that's kind of cool. It also has a Bluetooth option. It has here Bluetooth. So that would be easy to use. But we can have a serious look how practical that is in the end. Also, who says it is not a ham radio? So we have a look also at the software, and maybe it allows us to reprogram it anyway, or if we like to use it on a GMRS or FRS, maybe we can change it. Of course, you need to adjust your power then, because you're not allowed to use high power on these Freenet frequencies. But let's have a look. Before we have a look at the radio, I'd just like to explain a little bit. We now think it is quite normal that it all has this strong plastics, and when you drop it, it doesn't burst, it just has a little dent in it. But it was not always like this. Around 25 years ago, maybe even 30, I actually did work in the professional telecom, and we had these aluminium radios. And this aluminium, because the technique was there how to mold this aluminium, and it was no problem. But of course, if it is a little bit moisture or it just gets wet in the rain on the construction site, it of course oxidizes as this. But there was not much else you could do than use this, because real metal was too heavy. The plastic that they later used in the ham radios, this will, if you drop it on the floor, it will break and it will crack. So this was for construction sites, was not a solution. And even the ham radio started first also with aluminium, like this icon. And yeah, it was difficult to find a good solution, so it was just aluminium. And when I had these for servers, because in the big summer holidays we got all the radios back, or between big projects we got the radios back, and most of the work was not adjusting, it was just taking all the cement or mud, everything was full, because these radios have a tough life. But then at some point, before I continue, these radios have still crystals because they have fixed channels, or some had a diode matrix that you can program it on the frequencies. And then at some point, I think that was 2 or 3 years after I worked there, suddenly Motorola came with this one, the GP300. And this was a changer. It had this nice molded plastic. It will not crack when you drop it, unless you drop it from very high. It is really just super strong. And well, this is now 25 years ago. I think probably if I check the date on this radio, it is actually that old. It is from 94, so yes, it is old. But you can see it is still working, and it is sort of waterproof. Well, I don't advise you to swim, but this was a changer, and you program it with the computer. So no diode matrix, no crystals, and also it had automatically built in already the CTCSS, and I think they even have the 5-tone, the SWI, but I'm not sure about that. Of course, not the digital squelch yet, because that was not available in that time. And you just program it, the programmer you put on the back, then you put the battery again on the programmer, And that's how you program it indoors. Because it was, I think Windows maybe 95 started already, but I don't think it even was. So that was a game changer. And since then, they all have now this nice, strong plastics. So a closer look at the casings of the radios. Well, I said here, this is the aluminium. It was nice because it is good for the weight, but of course it's fragile, but it is a lot less fragile than the ham radio plastic here. For a ham radio, this is fine. You use it in lesser of environments as you of course do on a construction site, because if you drop this, it will break. You can see here already a piece of plastic missing. It will just happen. And well, when Motorola came with this one, this is real tough plastic, well constructed, seal around. You will find that also on the RedFS. And yeah, look at this, looks proper aluminium. It looks strong, and still the weight is limited. But I said we are now used to this look, but then I noticed I have here a Bofeng. This is of course the cheaper because this is a Freenet or a GMRS, but this is different plastic. It feels just cheap, but it is also as cheap, so that's the biggest difference. And here so I have another RedFS, and this is again the strong plastic like the Motorola, so there is a difference, even they all sort of look the same. It is not, and this plastic even feels a little bit stronger than the plastic they have used on this one. And you see also the antenna, they made a lot stronger, because you can see it will just disintegrate or break, or this one is also completely bent. These radios have a tough life on the construction site. So the RedFS kit, what does it have? Well, the radio I showed already a few times. It has a volume button in the top, and somehow they thought it was a good idea to have a light in the top. Yeah, I would have preferred maybe a channel dial, because now you need to find your channel up and down here. But it is free programmable, you can also use it for something else. But of course you want to change the channel, so. But that's about the radio. The earpiece looks nice. And to charge it, finally a normal USB-C instead of these crappy other USB that breaks everything. There is here a push to talk, volume up down, and a Bluetooth button to put it in there. I think you can assign like 8 Bluetooth devices to it. English manual, properly explained. These radios, you have a European version and an American version. Both are just EU and FCC approved, of course. RedFS always takes care of that. And they even sent me a programming cable, so we're gonna look at the software. It has a nice charger and a long cable to charge the headset, which is great because it's so small. You prefer to have it on the table. It even has a clip if you want to use a battery clip. So it's a complete kit. Yeah, and what is great is this hidden display. At least I like it. Look at this. You have your information, even your signal. You can change the channels by the buttons.
2,
And it even tells you what channel you are if you have the headset and you cannot see the radio because it's somewhere in your pocket.
1,
You can
2,
hear.
3, 1.
And there is also a signal meter here on the top. You don't see it now, but when you receive, you can just see the signal strength. So pretty cool. And to save the battery after a while, it just switches off. Okay, well, the headset, it's nice and small. The buttons are far enough apart, I think. You can push. Well, I have sort of lady fingers, but I think I'm able to properly touch the buttons. The smaller one you only do once if you want to assign it to the radio. But here you have the plus minus volume. You probably set once. depending on the environment noise. And here you have your big push to talk. So the headset is nice and small. You can fit it in your ear and it stays stuck. So how does that work in practice? Well, I was thinking about this and I've seen how bad the radios came back from the construction site after I needed to service it, and it was full of mud, full of concrete, and you need to get your way through before you can even start doing something with the radio. So if you are one of the lucky guys who wears a white hat, at least in the Netherlands, if your hard hat is white, you are one of the managers and you probably don't need to use gloves. It will work perfectly. But now I'm really someone who is actually doing the work, talking to the crane operator to get my load on the right position, and I want to push to talk. Well, I give it 5 minutes. Exactly for that reason, we usually add external speaker microphones. You put the radio somewhere in your coat, then you have the speaker microphone. You can just talk and you click it here. If you're not using it, you have your hands free. Do I think Bluetooth is a bad idea? No, absolutely not. I think it's great, but we need to think of how we do this for the people that actually work with the radio. And maybe you're watching Formula One, and then I was thinking maybe if you have a good, proper headphone, maybe with noise cancelling, but you need to be also very aware of your surroundings. But with the big transmit button on the top, just like you see with the Formula One, and then I think Bluetooth is a great solution. If you are now expecting a nice manual how you need to assign the Bluetooth to the radio, because there are enough videos about that, I like to focus on the software. And I mentioned before from Retevis that I think their website is great. It's easy to find the software, and I found similar looking radios and I wrote it down. It doesn't mean they are the same, it just they look similar. So I want to try also that software. And that was from Sierra, the 108D, I think looks the same. And I was able to find the software on the website. But there is also another brand, Rouage, I think it's called, the T8. But these people don't want to provide me the software, and I didn't find the website. I bought another radio from Rouage. I also needed to ask a few times before I got the software, and when I got it, it was even in Chinese. So I'm not sure how to use that. So I would say even other radios look the same. Be careful where you buy it. First think, can I program it? Because these radios are commercial professional radios. You need to program it for your license. So if you cannot, or it's all in Chinese, think twice, because that is what it is all about. No, you need to use it on your own frequency. So let's have a look at the website. So let's have a look at the Retevis website. A lot of big pictures. And we have, the RT29 that actually has a channel selector. Instead of with the push buttons, that would be a better idea indeed with construction. And if we go down, well, they have a lot of radios. So let's just go to products. I don't see professional, waterproof, Bluetooth radios. And here we find it. Yeah, that is the complete kit indeed. Bluetooth compatible. Oh, here they say it's even GMRS as well. So maybe we can reprogram it then. That would be nice. Long distance, yes, it has some power. It has a flashlight. It really doesn't make sense because you have a normal flashlight. Channel display looks indeed cool. Charger, correct. Wireless copy. Oh, seems cool. Where can we use it? The antennas. And the frequency. And here it says it can be programmed from 400 to 470, so that means we can make it a ham radio. So that is interesting. Let's go to the normal specifications, and if we look here it says no, we can only do 450 to 470. So that is really interesting. I wonder what we can do with the software. Of course, when you buy it for your commercial license and you're going to use it as a ham, you need to be careful you program the correct frequencies, and then you're allowed to use it. If you want to use it for a GMRS or a FRS freenet, then of course you need to adjust the power because it has 5 watts. So we have all the features here, reviews, and the brochure, but we also have the software and even a Windows 11 driver installer. I will download the driver, but I always try it first because I already have so many serial drivers. So if it works, it works. So that's the driver, and then we download the software. They just provide, if you bought the radio or not, you can just install the software. So that is so different from the people from Rouage. Let's go to my download folder. I will unzip the drivers. It's the Prolific, that one I probably have, but I will unpack it already. Unpack this. They talk about a code plug. What is that? So they sent me also the cable, and it's item number C9018A, and it is an USB plug, and it just goes in the speaker microphone. So the probably goes in the side here. I need to unscrew the cap, but okay, I will connect that. Well, I usually check in the device manager just to see what happens, what COM port it will create. Device managers, go here because it will create some virtual port. It just went into the microphone plug. I have the radio switched on, but the audio low, and I will just stick it into one of my USBs here in the front. And it created a COM9, here it is, and it detected automatically the port, so I'm not going to install another driver, which is maybe older or newer, I just don't know, but it is working, so not touching it. COM9, we need to remember that. So then we go to the software, all software, RB689, here we have start the program, open, new, that is to create, read, COM. First we do the COM, it was COM9. Okay, can we do it larger? Yes. Read from the radio, read. I'm not typing a password, it is reading. And it says in the bottom, it is UHF 450, 470. And but what if I want to change things? Okay, here we have the sub audio tones, TX power. So depending on your license, you can set the frequencies you are allowed to. Usually in the Netherlands, I think you get 3 channels, and you can switch between those. Especially when you work with the crane operator. The crane operator can maybe hear another construction site. So what you usually do, you also set your sub audio frequencies. It's different from carrier squelch. Carrier squelch, your receiving needs to be above a certain level and then it opens. And with this sub audio, or CTC as they call it now, it's a continuous tone sub audio squelch system. But we just called it sub audio, and it means that during your carrier, underneath your normal audio, you just have a very little tone. In this case it's 82 Hertz, so it's hard to hear, but it is enough for a radio to also have a receive system that listens to that tone, and then on top of the carrier squelch you also need to have the correct audio tone. And I think they even have digital, but I don't see that now here. You can change the power, low power, high power, wideband, narrowband, and you can add it to a scan, and you can do a busy lock. So if someone else, if the carrier squelch opens, you cannot transmit. Okay. I was wondering if we can do also the ham frequencies. So let's try. What if I just type here something lower? Let's say for 30, 350, just typing something. Input error, yeah. Okay. It does not want to get lower, I think. That is a pity. Well, it looks like the software is locked, so we cannot make it a ham radio. But then I found this Rouage, the T8, but these people do not provide any software, so that is not going to work. The Sierra, I found also, they did provide the software, but it could be completely for a different radio. So what I'm going to try is a little bit dangerous. And I also found here the TITMD or the RT86. So I'm first gonna just try the software that is for this radio, and just let's see what happens. And you probably should not try this at home. So I tried all kinds of different software and it didn't work. Also the chirp in this case, it's not supported yet, maybe because it's a professional radio, so it's not for the big public. So we can do some little test. Let's say we put, well, here we have, I will put one without and high power. And then I put with 6.7, that's good. Another one with 6.7, and we put here low power, and we will see what this does. Right to the radio. Done. Perfect. So I will be testing now on the Marconi just to see about the power and also if the sub audio works. And it's also a great example to see the difference between the carrier squelch and sub audio squelch, or CTCSS. So I have the radio connected directly to the Marconi, and when I transmit, it does some pretty power. Look at this, 7 watts instead of 5. So this is on the high power. And if I go to the search channel, that was low power.
2, 3.
Channel 3. That is 0.6 watts. Going back to channel
2, 1.
1. It also says when you are in the low power. So if I switch here to the
16.
Oh.
1, 2, 3.
And now you see a little L from low power.
2, 1.
And if I transmit, you can see the S-meter. So let's do also a receive test. I will do the RX is TX, go to RX, and this is carrier squelch only. You can see here also the indicator. sensitivity 0.1, even with the squelch. That is pretty good actually. And you can see even the RTFS logo turning green. And with transmitting, the whole logo turns red. Okay, go to the tone squelch, channel 2. Transmit test, channel 2. 2. Now I transmit. I transmit on the second channel, RxTX, Rx mode, put a lot of signal. We hear nothing. We can see there is signal, but we hear nothing. If I push the monitor button, we can hear the sound. So that means we need sub audio. I will put the radio right here. Let's see, so we go to tones. Then I say sub audio frequency. We need 6.7, I think we did, in hertz. And I can do stop tone, send tone. There is a bug in my Marconi apparently, because it immediately starts sending. Yeah, here it goes. And without the tone, it just doesn't. So then you have this sub audio on top of your carrier squelch. And there is a way also, let's say you don't know what is the tone and you have a radio on your disk and you want to know what is the sub audio tone. You just start transmitting. Then I have here my filter, puts here my low pass filter. And now I see everything, 300 Hz and below. And now we can see we are sending a sub audio of 6.7 Hz. And this way you can filter out the sub audio. So the sub audio system is really old because it's already in the Marconi. So that was a very quick test on the Marconi, and the sub audio system works also very good. Yeah, the Bluetooth I think is a great idea, or you need to be indoors and working in a warehouse. It's probably a great system. But if you're actually on a construction site, maybe you need a stronger headphone. But it only has to do with the little headset that comes for free. So maybe you can just, if you have a proper Sony headphone or some other brand, or the real Formula Ones with the noise cancelling and everything, you can just, it's standard Bluetooth, so you can just connect it to it. I think they did a great job in, if you compare it to the old Motorola's, they jumped in that spot to make these professional radios. Yeah, the construction is amazing. It looks really tough. I think you can drop it and it still keeps working. The channel selector should have been on the top. That is the only thing. Instead of it, these little buttons, and then you can use the buttons for other things. The light is more for toys in my mind. Professional radios don't have a lamp inside. Then you just use a flashlight, right? So, but they jump in the spot from the Motorola's, and it looks great. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.